Hello students, myself Rajeshri Patil, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science. Today I am going to explain about polymorphism in C++. The content of this topics are definition of polymorphism. There are different types of polymorphism like compile time and runtime polymorphism. Once again, in compile time we have function overloading, function overriding, operator overloading. In runtime polymorphism we have virtual function. And also we can study here some examples on different types of polymorphism here. First and foremost, we study what actually means by this polymorphism. It simply means one name, multiple forms. The process of representing one form in multiple form is known as polymorphism. Means there is only one name will be there and there multiple forms we are writing for that one name. This concept or this phenomena is called as polymorphism. Polymorphism actually it is derived from two Greek words. One is poly, another one is morph. The poly means many and morph means forms. So polymorphism is called as many forms. Types of polymorphism can be shown in a diagrammatic manner like this. So here polymorphism are divided into two types. One is compile time polymorphism, another one is runtime polymorphism. Once again, this compile time polymorphism has been divided into function overloading, operator overloading, and this runtime polymorphism can be achieved with the help of virtual function. So now study one by one what is this compile time polymorphism means what. In this method, object is bound to the function call at the compile time itself. Means whenever you are creating object, that object bond or linking will be taken place to the function call at the compile time will be takes place. So that's why this is called as compile time polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism means the object is bound to the function call only at the runtime. Means that whatever the linking between object to the function call will takes place during the runtime. So that's why this concept is called, or this phenomena is called as runtime polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism, in that one, first we are studying a function overloading. Whenever a function having a same name existing multiple times in the same class with different number of parameters, different order of parameters, or different types of parameter is known as function overloading. This means that the name of the function should be same, but they must be differ in whatever the parameters we are providing. No, they are different in the sense, in that sense it means they must be differ in number of parameters. Number of parameter means the one function may have only one parameter, another may have two, another may have three parameter. Different order of parameter, different order means suppose the first has one parameter, or first one also has a two and second also two. Suppose their int float is there, here we can have float int, means they must follow different order. And the other one is different types of parameters. Suppose there are three functions we have like sum. In the first sum we have like int means we are adding the two integer type numbers. Maybe in the second sum we are adding two floating types of numbers. Maybe in the third sum function we are adding the two double type numbers. This means that they have a different types of parameters. In any of these three sense they are differ, then that particular function is called as function overloading. See, in the below examples we are performing an addition operations. The name of the function is sum, but they are differ in types of parameters. Means third types of different, they are different in the types of parameters here. So in the first sum we are passing integer types, whereas in second sum function we are passing three integer types of parameters we are passing. Means there are number of arguments, there are number of parameters are different. In the first sum we have only two parameters, and then the second sum we have three parameters. In any of these three sums they are different, then such function we can say as a function overloading. So this is the class addition consists of two function overloading functions. And here in the main method we are creating an object to the addition class, and then whenever we are calling this object dot sum 1020, this 1020 will going to call the first sum. It may not going to call the second sum because first sum consists of only two parameter, and we are also passing the parameters also two. There should be one to one mapping will be there. The first sum will going to be called, and it will add those two, and it will return the result as 30. And whenever we are calling object dot sum 10 20 30, at that time it will going to call the second. Why? Because there is three parameters we have in function definition, as well as whenever we are calling the function, there also we are calling the three values. So there should be one to one mapping is there. So that's why it will call the second function, and it will add all three values, and it will return result as 60. So the one question may arises, why we require this function overloading in a C++ program. So anyhow, normal function how we are writing, we can write here sum 1 sum 2 something like that. The same thing we are writing, then what is the use of this function overloading in C++ programming? The main thing is that suppose we are writing hundred and thousands of functions, you are writing maybe in a program, or maybe you are building any software. To remember the name of the all the functions, it become a very difficult task for that. So in that case, what we are doing is that we are providing the same name to all, and only we are providing the different parameter to that. It becomes easy for us to remember the name of the function. Only for that purpose we are using this function overloading concept. Next comes overriding. Overriding, the name itself says overriding here. Overriding means the function which we are defining in the base class may have a same name in a derived class. Means the method which we are defining in the base class as well as in a derived class have same name, same number of parameters, and such concept, this concept is known as function overriding. Okay, so here see I can explain with example. Here class base, it has a function void show, and as well as in class derived, so it accessing the features of a base class like public base. Here also we have a void show. The name of the function is also same, and their number of parameters, there also there is no parameter, and here also there is no parameter. And inside the body we are providing the output statement as base class, and inside the derived class we are providing the output statement as derived class. So when you are creating an object to the base class B, as well as we are creating object to the derived class D, when you'll call b dot show, at that time, because you are using the object of base class, and when you are calling show means it will call the methods of base class. It may not going to call the method of child class. So when you are creating an object to the child class D, you are using object of derived class D dot show. At that time, it going to call the derived class object, like it will print the message as derived class. Next comes operator overloading. The process of making operator to exhibit different behavior in a different instance is known as operator overloading. Means the operator will exhibit different role or different behavior at a different instance is known as operator overloading. So the syntax for this operator overloading is return type and the class name where you are using the operator overloading, and the scope resolution operator, and the operator is the keyword, and op is the name of the operator, and the argument list you have to provide, and then there is a body. So here argument list, if suppose you are using a unary operator, there is no parameter at all. Suppose you are using a binary operator, you have to provide the parameters. So there are different types of operator overloading we have, like unary operator overloading and binary operator overloading. Unary operator overloading, the operator which operates on single operand is called as unary operators. Means the operator will perform or operates on only one operand. Only one operand means only one element or one variable is called as unary operator, like plus plus a. A is a operand and plus plus is an increment operator, where this plus plus will going to be operates on only one operand, like minus minus decrement operator, negation operations, not operator. These all are performed on only one operand. Whereas binary operator overloading, this operator operates on two operands, is called as a binary operator overloading. Means the operator which performs on the two operands, like plus is there, minus is there, which will operates on two operands, like a plus b. A plus b are the two operands, where plus is the operator. So these are the different operators we can use to perform binary operator overloading, like minus, star, slash, the percent symbol is there, and then equal to, double equal to, plus equal to, ampersand, and many more we have for binary operator overloading. And there are certain operators which we cannot be overloaded in C++, like member access operator is there, ternary operator is there, scope resolution operator is there, pointer to member operator is there, size of operator is there. These are the operators we cannot be overloaded. And this is an example for a binary operator overloaded, binary operator overloading. So here we are using a plus as a binary operator overloading. So here there is a class name is a complex, and in this one we are using a and b as the private variable, and there is a set data function is there, as well as show data function will be there. And here we are defining the operator overloading function here, and here we are returning the complex type, no, so that's why we are providing the return type as complex. And add is the name of the function, add is the name of the function, and plus is the operator, followed by the object is of type class type, that is complex C. And here inside we are using the one temporary variable is of type complex type to store the values. To add the two numbers of the objects, we are using this one, temp dot a is equal to a plus d c dot a, temp dot b equal to b plus c dot a, and return temp. So here we are creating in three object to the class complex. C1 dot set data 3 4, in that sense 3 and 4 we are passing to the function set data, and x will going to copy 3 and y will going to be copy 4, and that x will assign to a and that y will going to be assigned to b. And this 5 and 6, 5 and 6 once again C2 dot set data 5 and 6 once again copy to xy, and the same thing this x and y value will going to copy to a and b. So whenever C3 is equal to C1 dot add plus C2, we are calling the operator overloading function, the cursor immediately move to the add function, add operator overloading, then it will goes there. Then the value of C1, that is the a value, that is the first value, will be added to the value of C2 of a value will be added, means 3 plus 5 going to be added, and that will be assigned to temp dot a. Once again same, whenever we are calling that C1 dot add C2, means it will going to add the second value, that is temp dot b, then b plus of second value of C1 object and the second value of C2 object, both will be added, and that will be assigned to the temp dot b. C3 dot, whenever we are calling this C3 dot show data, at that time the cursor will go to the show data function of complex class, and then it will display a as 8 and b as 10. So runtime polymorphism, this runtime polymorphism we can achieve with the help of virtual functions. So now already I had explained the linking the function call to the function call to the calling function to the called function will be taken place during the runtime, that we can achieve through only the virtual function. The virtual function is a function in a base class which is overridden in the derived class. So virtual function is also a function in a base class. That class can be overridden in a derived class, and which tell the compilers perform late binding on this function. Late binding in the sense during the runtime. So there are certain features of this virtual functions we have to have, like virtual keyword is used to make a member function of a base class as virtual. So the virtual functions we are defining in a base class, and that should be prefixed with the keyword virtual. Virtual functions is a member function that is declared as a virtual within a base class, and it is redefined by the derived class. And whatever the functions you are defining the base class, that is virtual function, once again we are overriding or redefining in a subclass. To create a virtual function, precede the base class version of the function declaration with the keyword virtual. To say a function is a virtual function, the function which we are defining in a base class, that should be prefixed with the keyword virtual. And one more, whenever we use the pointer of a base class to refer to all the object of the derived class. So whenever we are creating an object to the base class, that pointer we are referring to all the objects of the derived class. This I can explain within the example so that you can understand clearly. The method name and the type signatures should be same for both the base class and the derived class versions of the functions. It means that whatever the functions you are defining in a base class, that is virtual function, and the same function you are overriding in the derived class, both must have same signature in the sense the return type, name of the function, and their parameter, number of parameter, everything should be same. These are the certain rules we have to be followed when you are using the virtual functions. So this is the example for virtual function. So here there is a class right side. There is a class A is there. In that one we are defining the void display as a virtual function, and next class B, it extracting the features of class A. In this one also we are overriding the display method here. We are overriding the display method here. Means why we are overriding means the same functions we are overriding in a derived class just to provide its own implementation. Based on your requirement we can define it. Next we are closing here base class here, and next we are defining the main program. Then we are creating an pointer to the class A, and then we are creating an object to the derived class, and then this pointer can hold the object of all the derived class. I think I had explained the point. So here there is a yes, last fourth point is there. Here we use the pointer to the base class to refer to all the derived class. See here, so we are using the pointer of class A to refer to all the object of the derived class. So here B is an object of a derived class where A is the pointer of a base class. So using this pointer we are accessing the method of a derived class. We are accessing the method of a derived class, like a member access operator we are calling the display method of derived class. When you will make a base class as a virtual, then we can access the overridden method of a subclass is possible. Otherwise, if the base class function that is not a virtual one, we cannot access once again a display method of derived class. Once again it will call the method present in the base class, that is base class is invoked, it will display the method like that. When a base class pointer contains the address of the derived class object, always execute the base class function. So this issue can be resolved by providing using the virtual. Always it will call the method of a base class. To overcome this one, we provide the base class method as a virtual so that we can access the member of a derived class. So these are the books I refer. Thank you.